Good morning, beautiful spirit. Welcome back to the channel. Rector Arundel here with Able Spirit to Me, and I am able. Soham Hansaha Swaha. We're on the second section in this chapter, meditation, the actual meditation practice. So I want to point out that I didn't make this a guided meditation. I have those already on my channel that are based off these practices. This is an explanation as to why my meditations sound like they do and what the goal is. So here I'm going to explain a wonderful visualization practice that I do for meditation. And I also want to point out that beyond the Hindu approach of focusing on one thing, my goal with meditation is to charge the body with energy, with prana. And a lot of people would say, if you're not doing that when you're meditating, what are you doing? What's your goal? So the goal should be to connect with Source, and you do that energetically and spiritually. They're synonymous. People don't like the word um, energy as far as God or spirit, the Word of God, all these things, the Holy Ghost, these are all synonymous of energy and connection with spirit and God. So your whole point of meditation is to enhance that connection. Now, I'm not going to get any more philosophical. Let's talk about the practice. Actual meditation practice. Now that you are in this blissful, spacious feeling, you are ready to meditate. The object of meditation can be up to you. However, I have stumbled on a technique that resonates very well with me. It supercharges my energy body and also makes me feel connected with Source. I use this method during the day when I'm not doing a sitting or lying down meditation, when I'm chanting and trying to build and conserve energy during the day. The following is my current practice. So I like to imagine a very hot and bright sun over the head and feel the warmth and light on top of my head. Once again, emphasize I feel the heat on my crown coming down as energy from the universe or source. So I really try to imagine sitting on a beach or something and I feel the hot sun on my head, and you really can feel it once you get used to the practice. Now I also like to think of it as weight falling on my crown. Once again, I can feel pressure. I think of my entire head, my upper two chakras, the crown and the third eye, as a lens system. Now this can be confusing, so think of it like this. I'm focusing light and energy and consciousness that is falling on the top of my head. I primarily feel the sensations on the top of my head. And I'm focusing the energy from the crown through my head and in a direct beam through Sushumna, which is the spine, down through my heart and into my lower chakras, just like focusing the sun through a magnifying glass to burn something. So this is a visualization that I keep, and it really puts it into perspective what I'm doing with this energy. So I visualize the energy and consciousness being focused into my lower chakras to activate the Kundalini. I keep this constant visualization in my mind of the energy falling on my head, being focused through my brain, and down into my lower chakras. I do this because historically the superconsciousness comes down through your crown chakra and energizes and tunes your entire light body and chakra system. I also believe that my choice of focus is where the Kundalini goes, because that is what the ego controls by the will. So I do focus on the lower chakras, focusing the light down. Now, after you do the breathing preparation exercises, when you're in this quiet, still place, after calming all the bodies, you can hear the Aum sound, and this is the sound of the universe and creation. So when you're very still and quiet, you can hear a ringing of sorts in the background. And I personally have noticed this very pungently clear whenever I'm in a nice car and I close the doors by myself and it's perfectly quiet. You can hear ringing in the background. Or if you ever go out into a forest and there's no one around talking a lot, you can hear this ringing very loud in certain areas in the forest, which I find very, very fascinating. However, if you listen behind the ringing, you can hear a faint rumbling that some describe to sound like a lot of flowing water. Now, when I say some, I mean a lot. This particular reference is used constantly. So, it has been described as the sound of a roaring ocean, a powerful waterfall, or a very strong river. In fact, the story of Siddhartha is about becoming enlightened by listening to the sound of a very strong river over time. So this is the Aum or the Om sound, and it actually changes during my meditations. So my understanding from Paramahansa Yogananda is that each chakra becomes activated and begins making sound as well, and these are called the astral sounds. And I've heard that the true and full Aum is only heard when all of your chakras are humming together. So, now at this point in my experience, the Aum most often sounds like the quiet whistle you hear when a gas appliance has just turned on. Um, it's hard to emulate, but the sound of the gas flowing from a propane tank to just out into the pipe, for example. So it's like a whistle, a faint, airy hiss, but it's not a hiss. It's more of a whistle. So it's an airy and faint whistle of a gas flowing through a metal pipe. Again, the sound changes during my meditation as my energy body becomes charged and more chakras are activated. So the point of meditation is not to hear the actual sounds, but if you start to hear these sounds, I like to take it as a confirmation that I'm doing something correctly. Validation is kind of nice. Even if it's not necessary, it's nice. So the point is to notice and tune into the vibration of the Aum sound as you hear it initially. I like to visualize and feel the sound entering in through my ears and crown chakra and intensifying and focusing first in the center of my brain, again, the pineal gland. And if you can, imagine your pineal gland kind of vibrating and growing. That's a big part of future spiritual endeavors. So I'm just saying, for now, if you can, you're already getting this visualization of the brain lens system. You might as well try to make that energy vibrate there and expand. And anyway, I combine this with the visualization of the light entering my head and focusing there as well before intensifying and focusing in the lower chakras. I imagine in my head there is energy vibrating with the Aum sound governing all of it. I try to tune the energy center in my brain to the Aum sound and let it focus down in my lower chakras to intensify and grow and expand. So it sounds like I'm repeating things because I want it to be very clear what I'm doing. I stay very focused on keeping this constant visualization system of the sun or God shining on the head lens and focusing down in the lower chakras with the Aum sound tuning everything. And this practice keeps my attention completely. And that's the big picture. That's the point of it. It might sound like an easy or complicated practice depending on your experiences, but it keeps my attention completely. So it's difficult to explain, but eventually the Aum sound in the background constantly is a stabilizer for the visualization for me. So it is kind of like hearing the hum of an electrical appliance when it is running. It is a reminder that the source of the power is active. So I use the background sound as a reminder that the power switch is on and I need to keep my focus. So the Aum sound reminds me that the consciousness and the energy are flowing down through me without breaks. And eventually, I'm not just thinking of the energy focusing intermittently when I'm able to keep the visualization stable. Rather, it becomes constant and stable like a dream that begins foggy and then becomes super clear and defined. So another way of putting that would be that I have changed my awareness from outside to this inside visualization, and I'm kind of experiencing this whole situation fully because I'm able to see it, and we're going to get more into that now. Another helpful visualization would be the sound of the acetylene flowing to the torch, which keeps burning the metal, quote unquote, in the lower chakras. So what I mean there is, if this visualization that I already described is difficult, you can also imagine this acetylene for a torch is flowing down and is turning into fire in your lower chakras, like a torch burning. Just another thought that I had, kind of similar to what we're talking about. So I use breaths along with the visualizations to imagine that I am starting and growing a fire in my lower abdomen. I use in-breaths to stoke the fire, and then I either hold the breath for a very short time or breathe out slowly to help intensify the heat and growth of the fire. I breathe very, very slowly and quietly, and only into my lower belly. So this is an important point. I basically don't see my chest or upper belly moving much at all during the breaths. And this method makes the energy in my lower belly very, very hot. So what I actually do, in addition to this, is when you're hearing the Om sound, try to breathe so quietly that your breathing is not louder than the Om sound. And when you do this, your breathing becomes so shallow and so quiet that this is what happens. So Again, the method makes the energy in my lower belly very, very hot. It actually begins to feel like a small hot air balloon in my lower abdomen that has all sorts of buzzing and crawling and vibrating sensations. And it's also important to keep the heat as close to the spine as possible. I have read in multiple locations that if the Kundalini can accidentally go forward through your soft belly tissue and actually burn your organs. So you need to be careful and keep the visualization in the heat and the back of your torso around your spine. Because the tissues in the spine are designed for this energy so as to cause evolution and not damage. Really feel the energy and vibrations intensifying and focusing in the lower chakras. Eventually, in trying to hear and focus on the Aum sound while breathing as slowly and quietly as possible, my breathing stops for moments. Now, I want to point out these are not moments of panic or fear or strain of holding the breath. These are natural moments of cease to breathe because I no longer have the need to do so. My entire body is being fueled by source. So I was taught that breathlessness is deathlessness. I think I'm going to get to that in this book soon. By Paramahansa Yogananda. When you're connected to source and being charged with energy, you don't need to breathe. You don't need to eat. You don't need to do anything. So that's how some yogis actually get buried alive for months on end, like 6 months, and they get unburied and they're perfectly fine. It's amazing what we can do if we're exposed to the fact that it's already done. People have all these self-limiting beliefs. So this is just an introduction to charging yourself with energy and the fact that if you don't breathe while you're being charged, it's nothing to be afraid of. In fact, it's amazing. So, I do realize that I'm sort of cheating and focusing the energy on more than one chakra simultaneously when I use the head as a focusing lens and feel the heat on the crown as well as my lower chakras. I advised you earlier to focus all the energy on one chakra only. So, you do want to focus all the energy on one chakra only while you're trying to get a Kundalini awakening. But this method may very well be self-sabotage. I'm not going to say that it's perfect, but I very strongly feel the energy when I use this method, both on my crown, where I connect to source, and in my lower abdomen, where I build and activate Kundalini. Additionally, I like to remind myself that the chakras are an energy system, which all work together and affect each other. So, it is my belief that increasing the flow from one chakra to its neighboring chakra is one aspect of the goal. Therefore, focusing on sending energy from the top chakra to the bottom chakra is one way of strengthening this flow and cleaning out the Sushumna pathway a little more each time. Think of it like water flow. Yes, a large water flood, like an energy flood of Kundalini, will dig a trench quickly like a Kundalini activation, burning all karma. But a small flow of water over time can also create a big trench. Hence, we are burning some karma every time we meditate. Out of all energy focusing techniques I've tried, this one works best for me. Now, I'm going to say I wrote this book before I figured out other practices like Falun Dafa, Qigong, Tai Chi. But this practice is still wonderful if you don't want to move physically. If you want to do physical movements, the other ones are great. If you want to be calm and still, this is still the best. So the key to find what works best for you. The key is to find, and I still believe that. This method may be imperfect, but it feels right. Once the energy is focused in the lower chakras long enough, the Kundalini energy quite naturally rises up through Sushumna to your crown, where you're finding yourself connecting to Source for a time. And when you come back out of that connection, so you're going to be gone, you're not going to know what happened, and you're going to pop out and go, oh, okay, I was doing it. You can either stop your meditation or start over again, focusing the energy back in the lower chakras to raise the Kundalini again. I do have my eyes closed while I meditate, but some find it easier to concentrate by keeping your eyes half closed. And also the length of meditation is up to you. I usually set a timer for like 20 minutes or something, but I will come out of meditation before the timer if it feels like I'm done. If I'm gone in a deep meditation, I pop back and I feel, okay, done, I'm not going to force it to happen again. So I really do recommend trying this visualization because it is pretty good at consuming my entire attention. When you have a continual stream of thought on one object, you are in samadhi. Not breathing is one clue that you may be having moments of samadhi. This method of meditation also supercharges the light body. Some sources recommend using your other senses as well to avoid being pulled away to other distractions. So, for example, you could imagine a smell of the experience, as well as a taste and touch, like cold or heat. This is true of the senses. This is true control of the senses. However, don't worry if you can't use all of your senses. That is only an aid in preventing you from losing your concentration. So, if you're already concentrating well enough, you don't need to control your other senses. You'll simply forget about them, like you already forget about your body sensations when you're focusing on other things. So, it's really up to you. But I also like to do a prayer and ask for assistance before the breathing exercises and before I start meditating. This is due to my personal beliefs, and it may not be necessary. I have also heard that the feeling you embrace during meditation is more important than the practice. So this particular master said the correct feeling is one of empathy for everything. So imagine how the birds feel, how the little animals feel, how the trees feel. He made a point of saying that this was not necessarily love, just empathy for the hardships of everything living on Earth. Okay, I realize this video is getting long, but I really want to finish this section without making a third video. So, I do like to say my mantra in my head as well. Eventually, you may stop saying anything in your head at all, which is great to only hear the Aum, because this means you have successfully achieved no mind or trance. But until that happens, praying to your deity, the universe or source, or the superconsciousness, or the Paramatma, whatever you want to believe or call it, and using the mantra are helpful. So here I will tell you a full mantra. Again, I do personally believe in a God, a source, so here's one of my full mantras. I'm also going to point out that this was not my creation. This was my translation. This is just a translation of Sanskrit. Multiple different Sanskrit mantras that are very popular translated into English. So, all is yours, God. God, all is yours. All is yours, God. God, all is yours. I live to worship and serve you, Lord. Dedication, dedication, stillness, stillness, stoic, stoic, storing, storing, tuning, tuning. I am part of you. You live in me. I am yours and surrender to your will. So the first half and the last half are Sanskrit translations. It's only the middle part that I put in myself. Now, this mantra is my creation taken from many different sources, both in Sanskrit and others. I use it because I can feel the energy and connection to source when I use it. But in regard to mantras, I will say that I find it extremely useful to use different mantras for different things. For example, during the day when I'm trying to focus on preserving energy, I use a very long mantra that reminds me what to do to conserve. I will often throw in the Aum sound before and after each word. This reminds me to slow down. It also becomes difficult to remember the whole mantra, and this results in extended moments of no mind or trance in which I am trying to remember the next part of the mantra, but have no thoughts in my mind. So again, we're becoming more meditative naturally, and this is one cheat that I have discovered. If you make your mantra very long and put an Aum between each little phrase, trying to remember the next thing, you're automatically in trance. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so again, I'm using the same exact mantra, but I'm putting Aums in between. Aum, all is yours, God. Aum, God, all is yours. Aum. And I'm not going to read it again because of time, but you can see it there. So I use the Aums as a moment to reflect on what I just said. Again, this example mantra is very long and results in many moments of no mind, trance, or samadhi during my day. When I am meditating, however, I almost exclusively focus on a very short mantra that primarily involves repeating the names of the deity that I believe in. So I believe that God has incarnated on earth many times and has many names. So I often use Sanskrit during my meditation mantra, and the actual mantra I use is one given to me by my guru. Now, while I am chanting and focusing on the visualization described above, I become completely consumed in concentration to the point of feeling like I have lost myself. I am no longer small and in my body. I lose track of time. Again, from my understanding, this is ideal and the goal of meditation. In this samadhi, you are connected to Source, and this is when your spiritual experiences and changes occur. And I do believe this is on the path to enlightenment, hence the name of the book. So the meditation will be a rewarding experience in its own right and may even lead you immediately to new experiences such as a Kundalini activation, even enlightenment, maybe an astral projection, out-of-body experience. However, for most, it will simply get you started on connecting with Source and clearing karma. Each time you meditate, you are cleaning your spiritual self more and more. You are untying the mind knot, which means you are also undoing some karma, and it charges you with prana and kundalini. After the meditation, you will probably feel quite jittery, cold, hot, shaky, or just excited. Yes to all. Meditation makes your mind calm, but your body is very energized. I personally feel the energy and connection to Source very intensely right after I finish meditating. I often feel the energy in my crown and lower chakras more intensely after the meditation than I did during it. As my practice has grown, I feel waves of energy shooting throughout my body, often centering in one chakra at a time before moving to another. So, for example, if I'm really feeling it, like right at this moment while reading this, I feel it in my crown and my lower belly. I didn't do anything to cause it, I'm just feeling it. Now, these sensations can be any of the examples that I have gave before of bliss, vibrations, shaking, buzzing, a crawling under the skin, and others. I have grown to enjoy them all, much so, yes. To me, it is simply a reminder that the Kundalini is flowing as well as other energy accumulating, and I believe it to be a direct result of being connected to Source. In other words, it is a direct pat on the back from me that I'm doing something correctly. I get very excited and I want to run around and do things, but remember, the goal is to save the energy. Keep the energy inside, guys, with the excited feeling and the whatever. Wait. Okay, yeah. Keep the energy inside with the excited feeling and whatever vibration you want to attract more of into your life. You're going to bring more of what you put out into your life by the power of attraction. So you'll be doing exactly that. And this is manifesting. So that's the end of chapter 8, the meditation chapter. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, or email me if you have any questions or suggestions. I would love to hear from you, and look forward to talking to you again. Have a wonderful day. You know I will. Bye-bye.